and levy. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we're showing out. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing out. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. You can't control this, I'm explosive. You can't control this, it's 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 explosive.
10 years of speed. 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to the Full Throttle Sim Racing Points Truck Series from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, live here on LSRTV, getting ready for some left and right turns from one of the most prestigious road courses and wacky road courses throughout the entire world. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jason Rockfell. Alongside me, switching roles tonight, Wesley Outland with me, and Charles Wooten will be pushing all the buttons behind the scenes for us. And Wesley, this is a track that we've called, I think, a couple races on, man. I am really looking forward to seeing how these drivers tackle this over 3 mile, obviously, road course. It should very much be an exciting one tonight.
3.426 miles, 5.513 kilometers on the 20-turn road course. That is the Circuit of the Americas, located in Austin, Texas. Should be an exciting event for the next round of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series, Sim Racing Points program, and obviously it's road course racing, so it's a completely different animal than making the left turns, if you will, on the regular oval tracks.
Yeah, and it definitely should be an exciting one. Definitely an exciting one last week, and I know I missed out on it, but Tyler Brown picked up the win at Bristol last week, leading 62 laps over a few other drivers, and obviously James Mullins was in the hunt last week as well, leading 83 of those laps. Here's the Hunt the Front TV race information tonight. No fast repairs, obviously. 100% fuel load, which will not be a factor, which we will get to that in just a second. 5 sets of tires. Actually, I believe it's 4 here tonight, if I'm correct. 3 green-white checkered attempts and 37 laps here tonight. But remember last year, they had stage endings, but they never threw the cautions. Tonight, they will be throwing the cautions tonight at the completion of laps 10 and 20, and then it should make a very interesting race all the way to the finish of this one here tonight. And qualifying is getting ready. These guys have 10 minutes to show it. And Wesley, we've seen enough road course racing. There's some drivers out here tonight who are not going to be so really familiar with the road courses, but then there's going to be the drivers who absolutely love this stuff. It's their bread and butter for sure.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, you kind of hinted on that there's going to be the stage breaks with the cautions coming out, and I think that's going to be something different too, because usually we're used to doing races, honestly, Jason, where they might get one caution sometime before the halfway mark of the race, but with these stage breaks, obviously you're going to see 2 yellow flags, and obviously the strategy here is going to be simply to watch and see what can happen when they're going to make these pit stops and come in. As right now we see the number 18 machine of Joey McKinney and his Toyota Premier Setups number 18 machine on the racetrack, and obviously the key is to try to put a best lap here in this 3.4 mile racetrack here at COTA.
Yeah, it definitely should be a fun one. Joey McKinney has been having a much better start to the season than what he did last year, so maybe he can pull a race out of the hat and win one here one of these days. Obviously, Joey McKinney, I believe brothers with Cody McKinney, who has had a lot of success, not only on iRacing, but especially over here in the FTSR. And in fact, last week, Cody was leading and wrecked, got loose, 53 laps, led last week at Bristol, and he's trying to rebound, and also one of the drivers who is not too bad on the road courses. Remember, like we mentioned, 53 laps led at Bristol last week. He wants redemption. Finished 11th here back in 2023, and then the last road course they went to was all the way back in the mid portion of the schedule, the 2023 B season. That was at Mid-Ohio. He came on the podium position in 3rd. But there's a lot of guys to obviously look out for here tonight. Richie Coy, Brody Hanna, Tyler Brown, Tony Solari. We mentioned Cody McKinney. And also Michael Blackner, just a few drivers to look out for here tonight. And Wesley, it's going to be an interesting one. And the thing is road course racing without these full course cautions, besides the stage breaks, this race is going to get really, really strung out. You're going to have to keep your tires on the surface at all times, and one slip up could cost you a lot of valuable time.
Yeah, we got a lot of drivers here ready to see again what Joey McKinney can do. As right now he is working his way around the course here, heading back towards the front straightaway, coming off of turns 18, 19, and 20. Very sharp turn here, working around Circuit of the Americas. And one of the most interesting things, obviously, coming off of turn 20, Jason coming back up the front straightaway where he's at right now, and you're going to see him climb the hill. That is a very sharp climb into elevation right here. Obviously, the broadcast right here doesn't do justice. Some of the camera angles will show it, but man, that is a sharp corkscrew turn, if you will, from turns 1 to 2. As he's right now on the clock, we'll see what he can do here from McKinney.
Yeah, long time around this racetrack. Going to take them over about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd say, to post a qualifying lap here, just in general, to get around here. And Wesley, you mentioned turn 1 being such a sharp turn. You go from turn 20 all the way up that straightaway, uphill, sharp left-hander down to turn 1. You see Joey have the back end kick out right there, heading through the corners, and that would be around turn 7 down to turn 8, and now about to hit 9. So turn 1 is where you're going to see probably a lot of passing go on the start, and obviously the 2 restarts that we're going to have here tonight. And Wesley, just from the few years, obviously, that NASCAR has been racing here, it has been absolutely insane. Those drivers will fan out. You might see 4, 5, possibly even 6 wide, because remember, compared to most open wheel or the traditional road course style racing with sports cars and such, we don't have track limits here with the stock cars, so those guys can utilize those runoff areas as much as they want until obviously they hit the gravel or the grass.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think one of the cool things we're really going to watch that's going to be really exciting, Jason, is going to be the starts and the restarts coming out of the Geico restart zone when they climb up that 600-foot elevation climb going into that corkscrew up into turn number 1 and 2 that we kind of emphasized and reiterated on. You can see them break apart. We can see multi side-by-side racing, 3, 4, 5 wide, 6 wide if they're brave enough. But then the thing is this, once they get up to the top of that hill, they got to kind of coast off and get on the binders, back off the throttle, because if you don't, you could literally set yourself up for some big disaster coming off of that front straightaway.
Yeah, and another thing that we probably should talk about too is obviously heading through turn 10, another uphill climb, and then you descend all the way down into a hard braking zone, all the way down into first gear through turn 11, probably the slowest portion of the racetrack. But then you go into high gear, go downhill into a slight tiny little uphill climb by the time you get to turn number 12. Lots of guys last year, and even in the real life world in NASCAR, between the trucks, Xfinity Cup Series, have missed going into turn number 12. We could very much see a lot of drivers overshoot the corner going into turn number 12, and then you get to the really technical parts from 13 all the way to 18, and then you talk about after turn 1, 4, all the way through the S's to turns 9 and 10. This track, Wesley, I mentioned it earlier on one of our broadcasts during the season so far, and I was talking to some of the Fury Motorsport drivers before this, but fun fact, this track obviously built for Formula One. They wanted to bring it back to the States, and this track was created all on a table napkin. It was like if you just gave a 5-year-old a crayon and said, here, draw something. That's basically what this track layout kind of looks like.
The Nerditudes Toyota number 43. This is Lewis Meglin. Right now, the time to beat set by Ryan Chapman in the number 27 machine. 2:15.603 seconds. Second fast, Michael Blackner, 2:16.564. Everyone else is literally seconds and more off of those drivers' times right now as we watch Meglin work his way midway through the course.
Yeah, heading all the way up here to turn number 8, about to hit 9, and then start to go downhill into turn 10. He utilizes a little bit of that runoff area, and here he comes into turn number 10. Really, really quick left-hander down into turn number 11. Hard braking zone down to third, second, all the way to first, wrapping around turn number 11. Got through there a lot better than what we just saw Joey McKinney do, and now it's a downhill climb all the way to turn number 12, which feels like an eternity. Drafting will be in effect, and then obviously sets up a passing opportunity that gets really narrow, really tight, and you have to be hard on the brakes and make sure you don't lock up those rears or fronts. Wheel hop and spin out, because we've seen that time and time again here as you see him go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack there on corner exit. And it's going to be really interesting to see. You talk about Ryan Chapman currently a little bit more than half a second faster than Tyler Brown, last week's winner from Bristol. And Ryan is no slouch on the road courses. He has really stepped up his game from last season. He comes into tonight as the points leader over James Mullins with 34 points to the gap. Then Cody McKinney, third. Also tied with James Mullins for second. Brody Hanna, Marshall Johnson, the top 5 in the points. So really, honestly, Wesley, this could be a very, very good, race for some of these drivers who might be a little bit deeper in the points, considering the fact that road course racing can kind of be unpredictable at points.
Speaking of Brody Hanna, there's the Sim Racing points number 23. His Ford on the racetrack. See what Brody Hanna can do for Fury Motorsports. That driver now working his way down, heading back to the start-finish line right now. Ryan Chapman still the man to beat, closing in on 80 seconds remaining. Brody Hanna qualifying in 7th into the top 10. What a lap put down for the driver of Hanna. 2:17.778 seconds. Good enough for 7th, Jason, but not the pole, as Ben Tracy now is about to wrap up his qualifying lap in truck 35.
Yeah, Ben Tracy definitely needing a solid night here tonight. He's only made one start so far this entire season, and he's back by over 222 points. He's going to need a great night if he wants to try to climb the points tonight, despite obviously, not starting the last few races. So we'll see what he can do here tonight. Still Ryan Chapman up at the top of the board right now. JP Burns was fastest in practice. He sits 4th with a 2. Oh, and there we go. We talked about the lockups. Just unfortunately getting into the braking zone too hard, downshifting too quickly. And unfortunately, the truck can only take so much with the RPMs being so high into the braking zone when trying to shift down. And unfortunately, the 35 machine whips it right around. And those were the only trucks that are on track. So, Wesley, it looks like Ryan Chapman's going to pick up the pole here tonight, just like he has that points lead. So this is going to be pretty good for him here in just a second to start this race. But we're about to find out if he can hold that top spot here tonight. Field is starting to grid. Let's give you the rundown here of these 21 truck field tonight. Row number 1. Ryan Chapman, points leader, alongside Tyler Brown, last week's winner at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Row number 2, Michael Blackner, really strong on the road courses for Fury, won the Cup race at Watkins Glen 1 year ago. Fastest man in practice, JP Burns alongside him. Row number 3, you have Cody McKinney, who's looking to redeem himself after a heartbreaker in Bristol. Tony Solari, one of the also many drivers of this field that's really good on the road courses. They're in row number 3. Row 4, Brody Hanna, TJ Bartell in the 98 to the outside. And rounding out the top 10 in row number 5, Lewis Meglin in the 43. Great qualifying effort for him here tonight. And Joseph Grijalva in the 66 making his Truck Series debut here tonight.
Starting 11th in row 6, that's Robert Milliken in the number 16. Brian Bliss to the outside in that number 3. Row 7, Colby Mess in the number 8. Wayne Grassi in the number 7, trying to turn things around from bad luck at Bristol last week. Joey McKinney in the 18 to the inside of row 8. And Sherwood Williford in the number 33. Row number 9 will find Ben Tracy and Kyle Milliken. Row number 10, your top 20 will see Tom Price in the 5, Marshall Johnson in the 9, and starting shotgun on the field, Alan Duranco in the number 2 machine. These drivers ready to go here. Circuit of the Americas. Again, as we mentioned, on 513 kilometers, 3.426 miles in length, 20 turns. Should be an exciting race, and obviously, again, Jason, those cautions at the end of the stages, I think, is really going to bunch things up and make the restarts exciting here as the field is gritting at COTA.
Yeah, and they're going to obviously roll off here to take their half a pace lap all the way in the middle, or the center, rather, from 11 through 12, and then we'll wrap around the course of this 20-turn road course here in Austin, Texas. And it should be a really interesting one. Wesley, you made a great point there again with the cautions. Last year, we had stage breaks, but they were no breaks for these drivers. They ran clean and green all the way to the end of this one. Tonight, we will have cautions, obviously, at the end of those stages. Remember, last year, because these guys run off a lot of the same NASCAR rule system, they did not have cautions at the stage breaks last year, this time at COTA. But then when they went back, obviously, a little bit further in the season, when they got to a few more road courses, decided, you know what, we're going to take it away. We're going to bring back the stage cautions to bunch everybody up, create some drama, give some more opportunities, some drivers. And for sure, FTSR has done the same thing. And let's take a look real quick here at the Kauffman Creative weather conditions before we get going today here in Austin, Texas. 75 degrees, wind at 7, track temperature at 100 degrees. That is a big difference, and that very well could create some drama here tonight with how slippery this course is.
Yeah, just shy of 100 degrees there. Obviously going to be a hot, slippery surface on the twists and turns. And the Whataburger turn is where they're heading to right now. If you ever ate at Whataburger in the deep south, if you've not, you need to go to one of those restaurants. They are awesome, the place to go to. And we are ready to go for the next round of the Sim Racing Points Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series. We're looking for a start out of turn 20 here, Jason.
Here we go. They come into the restart zone, waiting on Barney the flagman. He gives the green flag, and just like that, we are racing here in the heart of Texas. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Circuit of the Americas as they all go up the hill towards turn number 1. Everybody playing a little bit of argy-bargy. There's the 16. Robert Milikian got shuffled out of line. They're all going to make it through the corner, but he is almost at 5 miles an hour going through turn number 1. They head through 2, heading towards the S's. A little bit more slipping. Michael Blackner around in front of the field, nearly gets tagged, but everybody is able to drive right through.
Already some problems for a couple of these drivers now as they work their way snaking through the S's of the race course. Here on the opening go, Chapman out in front. We're going to see which drivers can stay in line, hold momentum. McKinney right there. You see him in third spot. Everyone else just nose to tail trying to get off the rumble strips to find their way through the midway part of the course here on the opening lap here at COTA.
All the way to turn number 10, about to head towards turn number 11 they go. There's Tyler Brown trying to chase down Ryan Chapman in that 27. JP Burns quickly makes up a few spots, or rather one spot from the initial start. Ryan Chapman zigzagging, snaking down this long back straightaway, trying to keep the draft away from Tyler Brown, and this is a hard break, downshifting into turn number 11 and now 12. Everybody, though, single file, and right now, Wesley, it's just all about trying to get in track position and learn this course and get better.
Yeah, got to just find a way to get through this here. Got a long way to go. Right now, they're working their way through 3/4 of the race course, working in those final 5 turns, closing in on the start-finish line here with Chapman out in front and quickly with about a 1 second lead over Brown and Burns. 2 seconds back by McKinney and Solari in the top 5. Everybody just kind of minding their P's and Q's after some chaos in the start, but for the most part, everyone working their way all around to complete lap 1.
Yeah, heading through turn number 19. Oh, no, and Ryan Chapman, something of an issue on the 27 machine, loses the race lead, falls all the way back to 6. Brody Hanna nearly makes contact with him, slips and slides off the corner. But they're going to complete lap number 1. Let's take a look here at the LSRTV race replay and see what happened to the elevated esports driver of Ryan Chapman there. Martin Sports on the hood. He heads through the carousel before he gets to turn number 19. And maybe we're about to see. I don't know if he goes off track right here. Possibly. Oh, he just locks
right
it up
there,
completely.
locked it up.
Something of a miss. Wow.
Yeah, right there in
Big
that
moment
sharp
there for
Whataburger
27.
turn. Yeah. Right there in that Whataburger turn as we watch them working through the S's. And we got another problem again as, oh boy, what is that, Gravala there going around?
Yeah, that's Joseph Grijalva making his Truck Series debut here tonight, and he's been having a real struggle in the Cup Series so far this season. And there's Kyle Milliken. He had something of a miss as well going through the S's on the entry, and he's fallen back now to Joey McKinney, who's all the way back in the 20th position. So already a lot of drivers, even your race leader, your pole sitter, had an issue heading up into turn number 19. And Wesley, with this track being so big, I mean, there's not a lot of room for error because it's like there's so many different corners, so many different ways that you can pass a driver here. One little mistake and you are many seconds back, or you lose that race lead if you're Ryan Chapman.
There you see Johnson going off course again. The Craftsman number 9 machine stays outside the top 15. Got a battle alongside with the driver of the 35. This is Tracy and Mess going at it. And the leader in trouble, understanding Brown under attack. This allows Burns to run him down. Luckily, Brown saves it as he's working his way through the part of the racetrack heading into the Whataburger turn.
Yeah, this race field right now, everybody really spread out besides this top 4, and it is a really stout top 4. We talk about Tyler Brown winning 1 week ago at Bristol. Somehow he has really shown speed with as well as Ryan Chapman here tonight, even though he was the pole sitter, fell back to 5th. Second, you have JP Burns, fastest man in qualifying, Joey McKinney, last year on the road course. As you look back, obviously 53 laps led last week at Bristol, leading the race, wrecking 11th here in 2023, and 3rd back at Mid-Ohio, which was the very last road course these guys ran last year, and just turned the fastest lap of the race, being Tony Solari as well, one of the Fury Motorsport drivers, who is also very, very competitive and strong on the road courses. He loves this place. He loves road courses. You know, he could be one that very well could break through after a really tough start to the season so far.
Yeah, Solari up on the rumble strips just a moment ago. And here's the thing, those rumble strips could either hurt a driver or they can help a driver. It's all about the transitioning of working into the corner, exiting off the corner, going to the straightaway, taking advantage of that. And right now we can see that Solari is using the rumble strips to his advantage to make a climb now into the top 3 podium.
Yeah, you see them all coming down. Everybody gets really, really squirrely heading through turn number 11, heading down into turn number 12. This time by and almost lost the lead was Tyler Brown. JP Burns and Cody McKinney nearly made contact as well, heading through 11. Now down to 12. Here goes McKinney. He ducks out of line, tries to outbrake the 99 driver into the corner. He'll be able to take that spot. There's Robert Malikian. He's trying his hardest to get around Alan Duranko. They go down the long back straightaway. That's downhill, uphill, then back downhill. Really interesting battles going all the way around this racetrack. And You know, 10 laps here, Wesley. Obviously, once they complete lap number 10, that will be the stage break. Not a lot of laps, but obviously a lot of twists and turns here with how long this road course is.
Yeah, and I think that's the goal right now for all these guys in the Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series is right now just kind of ride. Obviously, try to stay out of trouble as we see the 27 of Chapman, the pole machine, the race EPI entry off course again for Elevated Esports. He's got to get back rolling again, obviously. Might be some handling going on the truck on the 27. We got a couple of trucks going off course. There's the 28 in trouble. McKinney.
Wow, 2 of the fast drivers already taking out big-time damage on this race. Only 4 coming up to 5 laps in. And Joey McKinney, or rather Cody McKinney, yeah, he is in pit road. That truck might very well be done for the night here, Wesley. Let's see if we can get an LSRTV replay on this here in just a second. But I'm noticing that left front is really towards the left-hand side. You see the damage, the scrapes to the right side of the truck. Damage on the right rear quarter panel. The hood is up just a tiny bit. So we'll see if we can get a replay to see what happened there to Cody McKinney, who has been probably one of the most dominant drivers so far this season. Was really dominant last year with Richie Coy, and obviously Richie not in attendance here tonight, and he actually won the last road course race for the Sim Racing Points Truck Series back at Mid-Ohio in the 2023 B part of the schedule. So opens up the door for a lot of drivers to go out here, get some points on Richie Coy, and as well as some other drivers, but already some big names already taken out pretty early on in this race.
And you see Milliken right there in the Martin Sports, MS Martin Sports entry number 16. And he's right now just kind of having a solid run for him in that truck right now outside Milliken in the number 13th position. Everybody back up the hill again here, working midway through, closing in on the Whataburger turn at the far end of the track, working about lap 4. As we right now see Brown as the man that leads the way. Obviously, we're seeing this battle now for 5th, 6th, 7th on back. Bartell, Chapman, Bliss, all watching, looking on as they work their way back to the Whataburger turn.
And Ryan Chapman just gave a nice big old shot to the Shell Pennzoil machine of TJ Bartell heading through turn number 13 and 14 as they head through 15 and 16. And a little bit of contact right there. That's Robert Malikian and also Colby Mice, who gets sideways heading through into turn number 15. This time, he's going to go way wide as Colby Mice takes the inside lane, gets a little bit loose, and they're going to drag race all the way down to turn 17. Give it to Robert Malikian, who takes the spot away from Colby Mice heading through into 19.
Yeah, working now back towards the start-finish line, coming off of that Whataburger turn down here for lap number 4 to be completed. And all the while, still Tyler Brown up in front. We're watching now the 16 machine. That's Milliken and the best battle driver. That's 12th and 13th on the racetrack. Probably the best battle we're seeing so far as they get ready to climb up that 600-foot elevation to quickly get on the binders. Watch them here. Got to be careful on that transition. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but that's a sharp corkscrew, if you will, a hairpin turn, if you will, to try to negotiate from turns 1, 2 to 3 there, Jason.
Yeah, and in fact, after you get out of turn number 1, obviously it becomes a downhill portion, so you really got to be easy with the way you put down the throttle after going all the way from first or second gear downhill. And you're just seeing these guys really struggle heading around through the S's, now heading up to turn number 6, now into 7 as Colby Mice gets loose again, trying to make the pass on Robert Malikian that time by through into turn number 9. Colby Mice is going to try his best to get through 10, get a run, and probably head to the bottom here of Malikian as they head into turn number 11. Mice tucked right up behind the 16. He'll take a much wider entry, try to get the arc through the corner, and he'll do just that, but not enough power to be put down. He still battles with the 16 heading into 12.
Hey, by the way, don't forget, Season 11 of the Northwest Racing Series fires up this Sunday night on iRacing on LSRTV. Jason, we're going to have qualifying, single truck qualifying, and the 2 dual qualifying races leading up to the first race of the 2023 24 season on. Of course, Monday night. That's of course coming up this weekend. Sunday night, March the 24th. Monday night, March the 25th. Finally, everyone loves it. The Northwest Racing Series, the new season. And I would be hard-pressed to say COTA will probably be on their schedule as well, because this is definitely a track that a lot of people love to run on.
Yeah, it's definitely a track that a lot of people love to run on. I'm excited to see the Northwest guys return after such a long hiatus wait. After so many months of wondering, hey, when's the season going to start? I know Charles was really anticipating the season. He's been wanting to hear about a schedule, some sort of date when we're starting, and it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, what their season will consist of. Who will be the better driver this year? Will anybody be able to go out there and beat the West drivers, father and son, Dan West and Devin West? Who will tackle them? Will anybody else be able to make a run for the money there? It should be a very interesting season. Very much looking forward to it. We still got a lot of racing here to go. 37 laps, 5 already in the pocket. Right now on lap 6, at the completion of lap number 10, we will throw the caution and complete stage number 1 and go all the way then to the completion of lap 20 for the stage break after stage number 2. And then we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag. Here's Ben Tracy in the 35 machine. Talk about him having to have a good night. Only made 1 start so far this season. He's back there in 9th inside the top 10, doing a great job. And right there, you saw the gap from Tony Solari and Tyler Brown. It was more than a second. It is now down to 0.2 of a second all the way. Oh, and we got one around. That's the 5 of Tom Price in the Parker Store Chevy Silverado heading through into turn number 9. He gets back on the racetrack, able to save it in that chrome number 5 machine as he heads back to turn number 11. Here we go, Wesley. Battle for the lead going on here down into turn number 17.
And remember, also under 4 laps to go when they come to the line in stage number 1 here, with Solari now showing his strengths to be the new leader in that Menards Diablo 11 Ford. Tyler Brown right there in that 2nd spot, the 00 machine, the winner last week at Bristol. And right now watching him come across the line, this time by 4 laps to go. Do you race aggressively, Jason, at this point? Obviously, we know stage points are up for grabs, but obviously you still got a long way to go to get to the end of this race for sure.
Well, I tell you what, Wesley, obviously covering so far this season here for the Sim Racing Points Truck Series and both the FTSR main series they run here, Tony Solari has been off to a really, really bad start to the season. He is all the way down in 20th in points, 129 points back. He has made every start this year, but the guy has failed to get a win yet, and he's made a top 5. In fact, I believe it was a top 10 and a top 5 that he was able to claim many weeks ago, and he needs to get all the points he can get right here. He wants to defend this from Tyler Brown. Tyler's already got a win this season. He's doing really good. But obviously, Tyler needs the points as well. We talked about how a lot of these drivers haven't made a ton of starts. Neither has Tyler Brown. Only 2 starts. One of those ended up being a win. And then obviously the other one ended up being a top 10. So both these guys have a lot of points on the line here as they have turn number 12.
Really making fast time around here as we're closing into the end of stage 1. Fury Motorsports leading the way. Tony Solari in that number 11 machine up 5 spots. There is Tyler Brown. John Paul Burns, who had some bad luck in the 99 Toyota at Bristol last week on the concrete, Jason. He has now got a solid top 3 run going for him. The only difference is he is 6 seconds, maybe 7 seconds back to the leaders of Solari and Brown as they're right there. Throw a blanket over them as they work back out of the corners.
Yeah, heading through turns 17 and 18, Tyler Brown is trying everything that he can do to get to Solari as the back end kicks out right there for Solari. Heading through turn number 18, 19 coming into 20 this time by. It's going to be 3 laps to go. Oh, it's Solari locks up the rears. He's going to go wide. Here comes Tyler Brown down to the inside. He pressured him enough, and just like that, We have a battle for the lead. Tyler Brown trying to pack a little bit of air on the spoiler of Solari all the way into turn number 1. It's a drag race here as they head up the hill.
And look at this now, opening the door for Burns to close in 5 seconds back. By the way, that is the lap machine of McKinney that's amongst all this. There you see the driver trying to take advantage of the mishap of what happened between Brown and Solari. As we got now pit stop, Blackner on pit road, the best buy. Ford number 22 on pit lane. Jason, could this be a scheduled pit stop, or do you think he's got a problem coming to pit road early?
You know what he very well could be doing here, Wesley? He's probably,
undercut?
Because he had those issues, yeah, definitely probably just trying to do the undercut here, I would say so, because remember, he started well, up all the way in the top 5 or top 10. I'm not too sure, not clearly remembering, but the thing is obviously with this caution coming out here, after lap number 10 is completed, everybody's going to have to come down pit road, and he's the only one, it looks like, besides a couple other drivers, to come to pit road, so he'll be able to leapfrog the field, get that track position, and I think this is very much going to help Michael Blackner. He had that earlier issue, remember, on lap 1 heading through the S's, or it was lap 2, and now with him, with the amount of road course experience he has, how good he is here, I could expect this 22 to stay out front once he gets there.
Taking advantage of trying to go for the undercut. We'll see if it'll be in his favor, because obviously we're closing in on the final laps remaining. And by the way, Jason, I mean, I would say everybody would come down to pit road at the end of stage 1, but then there might be some that don't decide to come to pit road yet. Maybe they think they could go all the way to stage number 2 of the race.
They might be able to, but they're going to have to do a lot of saving. 100% fuel load with these guys, so they run just about the same amount that the Truck Series does here. And this is an open setup, so depending on how their setup is, they might be able to go a few laps less than some other drivers, maybe a few laps more, depending on how the setups are with these trucks. We just don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if anybody were to stay out, but I think that you would be in big trouble if you didn't stay, or if you did stay out, because tires mean so much here. You can cook these rear tires so much, the fronts as well, with all the braking you're doing, the sliding you're doing. These tires are going to be shot here by the end of lap number 10, so I would probably expect everybody to come to pit road here, as Tyler Brown still has the race lead over Tony Solari by just over a second and a half. We'll see if Solari possibly has anything left to try to throw it at Tyler Brown here for the stage, and here comes Colby Mice on pit road.
The number 8 machine giving up a top 15 spot, the DoorDash Toyota. And while that happens, we are closing in on about 1.5 laps remaining in stage number 1. Brown, the leader, Tyler Brown, winner last week at Bristol. He is leading the cavalry right now. Tony Solari in that number 2 spot, Burns in 3rd. All these drivers right now awaiting the end of that first stage as we still watch now the 27, the pole machine, Chapman, going off course again. Rumble strips not being the friend for that guy in head Toyota there, Jason.
Yeah, definitely not. And Wesley, you also mentioned a great point about how the rumble strips can help these drivers, but it can also really upset the truck. And you saw him right there just kind of try to gas it, heading up through turn number 10, or turn 9 rather, I believe that was. And unfortunately, just a little too much power, and with the lack of grip on that rumble strip and how slick it is, he just went right around. But he was able to save it, so he's still there in 7th. He'll be able to pick up some points here, but he obviously doesn't want to lose any more spots because Ben Tracy is only back by a little over 2 seconds. That could be another valuable point loss from Ryan Chapman. And the thing is, Wesley, we've talked about it ever since the playoffs were implemented many years ago with the stages and the stage points on the line in 2017 when they were implemented. Obviously, I mean, every point matters. You never know. You could have 1 point be the difference of you making the playoffs or even making the next round of the playoffs if you're already in. Here we go. Final lap of the stage, and guess who is right back to the bumper of the race leader? Tony Solari is right there in tow with Tyler Brown as they head up to 1. Solari gets to the outside, might be able to put the power down. He gets a little loose heading through turn number 2. They're side by side before the S's.
Brown on the outside, driver right, driver left, Solari. Solari taking advantage on Brown. Sneaks and slithers his way, heading to the S's as they'll snake their way through the corners. It is Solari now up in front, Brown to 2. Burns has cut off the interval to almost 3-4 seconds on that. Hannah Bliss top 5. Everybody looking to reel in the checkered flag, green and white stage to end stage 1 here at COTA.
Here they go through turn number 10 down into 11. Tony Solari able to hold the lead by about half a second right now. But this is a very big opportunity for Tyler Brown to close. They have outbraked the exact same time. Tony Solari gets off the corner pretty much perfectly, puts a little bit more of a gap between him and Tyler Brown. And for Tyler Brown, he just needs to stay right in that draft wake of Solari, keep that gap as close as he can, and it's helping him a little bit. He's gained about a tenth down the straightaway, maybe even 2 tenths here before they head to turn 12.
Boy, just waiting patiently, working now. 3/4 through the course. This now Brown goes off into the rumble strips. This allows Solari to pull away, closing in on 3/4 of the lap complete. Right now it's Solari, Brown, Burns, Hannah Bliss, all these guys in the top 5. Remember, top 10 get those stage points, and stage points at a road course for that matter, Jason. Very important now as Solari slipped a little bit to let Brown rid him back in. They're working their way to the Whataburger turn, heading to the finish line in the end of stage 1.
For turn number 19, Tony Solari doesn't want to make the same mistake he made a few laps ago into turn 20. It's smooth sailing all the way to the green and white checkered flag for the driver, the number 11 Menards Ford F-150. And off turn number 20, Tony Solari, some very valuable points needed. He'll take stage number 1 over Tyler Brown. J.P. Burns comes in 3rd, Brody Hanna 4th, Brian Bliss, many spots gained from the start. He'll come home 5th there in stage 1. Lewis Meglin 6th, Ryan Chapman, the pole sitter there in 7th, Ben Tracy 8th, Wayne Grassi 9th, and TJ Bartell comes home in 10th to collect that one very valuable stage point here for him. And Wesley, so far it's been a really interesting one. We haven't had a dominant race leader, but we know who the 2 guys up at the front of this field are that are probably going to be able to contend for this win.
10 points for first place, 1 point for 10th place. And the countdown, those drivers again getting those points when it's all said and done. Here's again for Fury Motorsports, Tony Solari holding off the likes of Tyler Brown. But again, don't fret. Still a long way to go here as we're waiting for the safety car to catch the field here. Any moment they'll do that. And then obviously once we get the lineup correct, Jason, we'll open pit road and the strategy will begin of seeing what will happen here for the first restart of the race since the initial start 10 laps ago here at COTA.
Should be a very interesting one, and while the field catches the pace car, or at least waits for it to take their pit stops here for the completion of stage number 1, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on LSRTV for the start of stage number 2 here from Austin, Texas.
10 years of speed. 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. Here at Hercules Foundation Repair, we are here to help with our free in-home evaluations and personal repair plans. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection.
Welcome back to the Full Throttle Sim Racing Points Truck Series here from Circuit of the Americas down in Austin, Texas. Jason Rockefeller, Wesley Outland, Charles Wooten in the production booth pressing all the buttons here tonight. Just completing the end of stage number 1, won by Tony Solari. And he's actually not only the race leader, but the man who has turned the fastest lap of the race with 2 minutes, 17 seconds, and then 7/10 of a second there. So far, some really great speed out of these two trucks of Tony Solari, Tyler Brown, the two T's going at it so far here tonight. And Wesley, with pit stops opening up, I can only imagine, like you mentioned, some drivers might stay out just to try to get track position. That's been oh so very valuable here tonight.
Yeah, what is stage 2? What is it, lap 20 or 25, I think you said?
Yeah, lap 20 is the completion.
So you've got less than 8 laps when they come to the line. Strategically, it might be smart if you're wanting to double down on your points for the stages. Or do you try to come down to pit lane, get a new set of tires, fill the tanks up? Part of me, Jason, wants to say some drivers in the back will probably, honestly, if you're one of the top 10 that got stage 1, I don't see them pitting. I really don't. I don't see this happening. I think 12 laps is still good enough for tires and fuel on the course. I just see them at least stretching it out to try to go to the third stage and then running what you have to the checker, my friend.
We are about to, in fact, find out here in just a second as they wrap around turn 17 and 18 before they come out of 19 down to the entrance of pit road, which is at the entrance to turn 20, all the way down on the inside right against the guardrail. So far, drivers who have made pit stops in this race: Kyle Milliken back in 12th. He could be a driver that stays out, along with Michael Blackner, Colby Mice, and then other drivers who have pitted. That would be Cody McKinney and James Torrey, both multiple laps down. So I can only imagine that they're probably going to come down here just because they are multiple laps down to get some obviously fresh Goodyear Eagles. And everybody comes to pit road, and we're hearing our production man, Charles Wooten. He's got a report for us. Charles, what do you got?
Well, I went down, had a moment to talk to our race leader, and his thoughts were, do I pit? Do I don't pit? Do I pit? Do I not pit? That was his decision. Obviously, we see he chose to pit. I talked to him. I asked him how the truck was handling. He said he's trying to manage the wheel hop, and it's greasy. But then he also said he's a greasy Italian, so he said he's handling it.
Oh my goodness, the Italians and the things that they say sometimes. And obviously Tony Solari, probably one of the funniest drivers, I would probably say, in this field, because it's like every other word out of his mouth is an F-bomb half the time because he's an Italian, I guess. So Tony Solari having a little bit of fun there. Thank you, Charles, for the update. Always good to have Charles Wooten alongside us up here in the production booth. And Wesley, you did mention some drivers were going to stay out. We had 3 who came down, or 3 rather, that stayed out that last time around. Or actually, yes, it was 3. So Marshall Johnson not pitting yet. He is going to be the only one who has not made a pit stop here tonight. He'll be the race leader when we go back green. And Michael Blackner, who pitted back at lap number 7, just a few laps before the end of the stage, he'll restart second. I can only imagine that truck's probably going to be pretty good despite spinning out. And Colby Mice did not pit, but he is dropping all the way to the back of the field, and I believe it is because he got a penalty for pitting with 2 laps to go. And remember, pit road closes with 2 laps to go in the stage. So, Wesley, this is a little bit of a shakeup up here at the front. I mean, what do you think we're going to see when they fan out down to turn 1?
Well, you got a guy like, obviously, Marshall Johnson, who kind of hung back at the top 15 or so, whenever we mentioned earlier in the race battling. Now he's going to move his way to the lead. He'll be the guy that'll bring us to the green flag whenever we reset things. Michael Blackner right there alongside. Remember, Blackner had problems in the Best Buy Geek Squad number 22 in stage 1. And then you've got, of course, the likes of Solari and Burns and Brown showing their strengths in stage 1. So, obviously, new front runners. I think we're going to see the guys that were up in the front quickly get up there, but they're going to have to get by some traffic to do it. The positive thing is, honestly, Jason, is you've only got one row to climb back up and go to the lead if you're Solari.
Yeah, and obviously, too, Tony Solari sitting there in P3. He'll be shotgun behind the race leader. And then you have the driver like Tyler Brown, who he battled for that stage win, lost a spot on pit road to JP Burns. He'll be sitting third on the inside here when they come back to the restart. And I can only imagine they're going to get the 1-to-go signal here pretty shortly, because usually they get it around the back straightaway. So we're about to find out if indeed the pace car does turn the lights off as they completely pace around here. And Wesley, we've had a lot of incidents so far in the first stage of the race. I can only imagine that in stage 2 we're going to see a lot more shaking up, just like we did in stage 1.
Yeah, I got a feeling the fireworks are going to really pick up for sure. I think the closer and closer we get to like the halfway point of this race, no doubt we'll see a lot more aggressiveness. We'll see these guys really start getting chances. Obviously, will teammates come into play? Still waiting to see the lights if they're going to go off on the pace car. That's one of the things that obviously is a cool update for iRacing in the past, Jason, is that the race directors, the officials for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series can control the lengths of cautions when they want to cut the lights off for the safety car to try to set up for a restart. But it looks like they're going to try to make them go one more whole circuit here before we actually get ready to try to go back to green.
Yeah, we're about to find out and see, and I do believe we are going to go at least one more time around. The field is kind of still single file. A little bit of them are doubled up, but as they're heading through turn number 19 right now, it looks like we're going to get one to go this time by. And obviously Marshall Johnson, the race leader, like we had mentioned there, the number 9 Craftsman Toyota Tundra TRD. And then you have the number 22 of Michael Blackner to the outside. And as they come off turn 20, they will get the one to go signal right here this time by at the line. There they go. Pace car lights are off there on that Porsche as they come up to turn number 1. And a few notable drivers so far who have made up a significant amount of spots in tonight's race so far. Marshall Johnson, the race leader, like we just mentioned just a few moments ago. Race leader up 19 spots. You have Ben Tracy sitting there in 9th. He needs a great run tonight. Needs those valuable points. Picked up some in stage 1. We're about to find out if he can pick some up here in stage number 2. He's up 8 spots from where he started, sitting there in the 9th spot. Alan Durango started shotgun, like you mentioned, Wesley, earlier on in the race, and he is already up 9 spots, sitting there in 12. So a lot of opportunities for drivers here on this restart to pick up some very, very crucial spots. And just like we've seen with road course racing, track position is absolutely key with how spread out this race can get.
Yeah, if I look and see as we get ready for the restart for stage 2, it looks like they're going to have less than 7 laps to battle it out here till lap number 20, closing in on the halfway point of the race. But, you know, Marshall Johnson, climber of the race in his Toyota number 9, up 19 spots to be the new man, the new guy up in front. And then a couple of drivers, Jason, that I'm watching on the scoring pylon that are falling back in a big way. Obviously, first guy, pole machine. Okay, Ryan Chapman is all the way back in the 19th position. And also Cody McKinney has struggled in this race. And those guys are 18 spots back for Chapman. McKinney, 16 spots. They really need to pick it up and have a good climb here in stage number 2 as we'll get ready to come back for the restart in a moment.
Yeah, as they work down into turn number 12, we'll get the restart here in about another 2 minutes or so. And while they all pace around here, might as well give us a little bit of a shout out to one of the premier sponsors here in FTSR coming on board this season. That would be Victory Fuel. Was able to have some courtesy of Dustin Longston back a few weeks ago, and I will say very, very delicious, hydrating electrolyte water. Charles, I heard you tried it the other day, man. Give us, what are your thoughts, obviously, on Victory Fuel? I know you said you didn't like it when it was warm, but I just want to know, have you had one of those babies ice cold yet?
I did. I actually drank all 4 of them on the first day I got them.
Of course you did.
But yes, I really like the Lucky Lemon. I'm not the biggest fan of the Throttle Punch, but I would drink it if it was ice cold. But yes, great product. Not good if it's left at room temperature, getting warm. But when you get them puppies ice cold in the fridge, they're amazing, especially the lemon.
See, I'm a fan of the
obviously,
Throttle Punch, and it's got to be ice cold as well, Jason and Charles.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite one.
It's got to be ice cold. I had one of them warm. I thought it was all right, but then I tried one of them ice cold, and I used it as my morning get up and go at work. And man, when I'm putting away deliveries, I need that hydration. I tell you what, Victory Fuel definitely got me the job done. And if you do head to drinkvictory.com, you can use code KOI19 at checkout to save 10% off on all your purchases. And they have the Lucky Lemon, they have Throttle Punch, 2 deliciously delicious, that made sense, I guess, flavors. So give them a try. Go over to Drink Victory. Yeah, deliciously delicious, I guess, the magically delicious. Obviously stealing that there from what? Yeah, from Lucky Charms. And it's funny because my sister says that I look like the Lucky Charms mascot there, so I guess I am a leprechaun despite not even being Irish. So I guess that makes sense. But they're getting ready here to come back to the Geico restart zone for the start of stage number 2. Like Wesley mentioned, they're going to only have less than 7 laps to go this time by. It'll be 6 when they take the green flag. Marshall Johnson, the race leader, alongside him, Michael Blackner, the Cup Series winner from Watkins Glen last year. It's going to be an interesting one. iRacing pace car. Fred, the pace car driver, brings it down onto pit lane. They finally gave the pace car driver a name. Got to give him a name if Barney the flagman has his. And that would be where we led to with Fred. Here we go. Green flag back out in the air here from Circuit of the Americas. As they get ready to see it. There we go. Green lights are on. Looks like the start of a Formula 1 race, but they are rolling through it all the way up to turn number 1. And Marshall Johnson slow on the racetrack. What is wrong with the race leader? Possibly maybe out of fuel? Not too sure what's wrong with the number 9 machine there. He gets back rolling, but he loses multiple spots and goes all the way from first on the board all the way down to 20th as Tony Solari picks up the race lead. And oh no, TJ Bartel hard into the guardrail heading into the S's there.
Problems for the Shell number 98 machine. Bartel tries to get back rolling again. He will stay green, obviously, and we pick up the pieces, if you will, from the pit house to the outhouse for Johnson. He falls back into the clutches of the top 20. And while that happens, Tony Solari and Tyler Brown pick right back up where they left off at the end of stage 1 for 1 and 2.
Except Tyler Brown's trying to get 1 spot better, and Tony Solari's trying to keep that top spot as they head from turn 11 all the way uphill down into turn number 12. Everybody single file, assuming some drivers are going to try to pull out a line here and make a move. There goes Lewis Meglin. He was under fire there from Joseph Grijalva entering turn number 12. Ben Tracy slow up on the brakes. Lewis Meglin gets a little bit loose coming off the rumble strips, and Grijalva moves all the way up to the 6th spot. Meglin battles with Joey McKinney, Ben Tracy, and throw Brian Bliss into the mix there in the Blackwater machine.
There's that battle now for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Meglin, McKinney. Right there in tow is Tracy and Bliss. Grassi watching all this happen. There's Grassi, a matter of fact, looking to try to get past by Durango. As right now they go single file back through the corners. Here we come. Moving in to that final turn, heading to the Whataburger turn. Closing that start finish. And while all this goes on, remember, they go to lap 20 for the stage 2. Right now, Solari holding off all comers. There is Grassi now in trouble. Open the door. clear a path. Milliken piles by and passes him as they work to the straightaway.
Milliken split the middle there in between the number 2 machine, or rather the 33 and the 7. They're going to go door handle to door handle through turn number 1. That's Duranko battling with Milliken, 2 of the Elevated Esports drivers through turn number 2, all the way to turns 3, 4, and so forth through the S's. Everybody trying to make sure they don't go off course. Look at the 7, the amount of speed that Wayne Grassi carries through the S's. Had to back it off just a little bit to prevent himself from getting in to the back of the 42 machine. Joey McKinney has gone around. He's head on into the tire barriers through the S's. He gets back rolling, though, as they go through turns 9 and 10.
And this is the second or third time in the race we've seen McKinney have problems. Here's a look at it one more time. Remember what I emphasized in the first stage about the rumble strips and how they can be your friend or your enemy. This time, McKinney, enemy for the rumble strips on the 18.
Friend or foe indeed, and right there it was the foe for him going through the corner. And here's Ryan Chapman slowly starting to make some ground back up. He finds himself now into the top 10, getting past Brian Bliss there for the 9th spot. And remember, Ryan Chapman had not 1, not 2, but about 3 incidents after starting the race on the pole. Finds himself up into the top 10 now, doing a great job, and he's trying to take away that 8th spot from Lewis Meglin and also Ben Tracy. They go door to door. Ryan Chapman trying to figure out where to go as they head through the corners. Meglin on the outside tries to pinch the 27 down low. Ben Tracy holds him up. Contact made.
Oh, I thought Meglin was going to try to go 3 wide on the bottom, but he couldn't get it done. Working up the hill, working with these guys, racing Tracy Chapman. Bliss is going to pile by and get around him. Meglin's going to fall back to 10th, but boy, this race has got crazy here with under 5 to go in stage number 2 here at COTA, Jason.
Going to be 4 to go this time by at the line. Tony Solari, Tyler Brown, still the commanders of this race, separated by only 6 to 7 tenths of a second. Ben Tracy, a little bit of a crossover, gets to the inside of Ryan Chapman, up through the gears, up the hill, down into turn number 1, hard braking zone. Ben Tracy tries to outbrake the 27 Martin Sports Toyota machine through 1. No contact made. Everybody else bundled up behind them. They shuffle around for position. Back to turns 2 and 3 here as they start to head towards the S's.
But look at this battle behind Chapman and Tracy, working now to the S's. And as you see, reeling them in behind is those drivers in 9th on back. Meglin, Bliss, Duranko, Milliken, Grassi. Milliken, Meglin is what I meant to say. All these guys going at it big time behind Chapman and Tracy, and they are running them down, trying to lock up whatever stage points you can get with those little 3 or 4 positions as we're working now with under 3 to go.
I want to see if Charles, real quick, can give us an in-car camera if we can look at the driver of that number 35. I'm just noticing it here because we're on the back bumper of Ryan Chapman. That is Ben Tracy. And if Charles, if we can get an inside look there at the helmet of the 35, if possible, that is a very funny helmet. And that, I believe, is a there it is, right there. He's got SpongeBob. SpongeBob. I guess when you're not in the sea, you're out in the hot Texas weather here. Charles knows all about the hot Texas weather, and SpongeBob is definitely going for a ride here. Left, right, twists and turns all the way through this over 3.4 mile road course here in Texas.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob on the racetrack right now. There you see him. And obviously we see him trying to make a run back happen as we're watching the 35 of Tracy trying to get there. 3 laps to go here at COTA in stage number 1, Circuit of the Americas. It's where we're at. Sim Racing Points Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series tonight. Again, this racetrack, 5.513 kilometers, 20 turns, 3.426 miles. And Jason, as we approach 20 to go, they are taking advantage of every opportunity of this plantation here at Circuit of the Americas in Virtual Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we're about to see some great action here for the final stage. Definitely some great action here going through these corners as they head through the S's right now. There's Tony Solari just passing the scoring pylon. Tyler Brown, Michael Blackner, J.P. Burns. There's Brody Hanna. And then following behind them, Joseph Grijalva. Had some trouble earlier on, finds himself sixth. He's had a really poor start to the season in the Cup Series, despite coming on very late in the season last year, showing a lot of success, a lot of speed. Hasn't had the start to the year he's won it over in the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series, making his debut here tonight in the Sim Racing Points Truck Series, doing a stellar job. I'm going to try to see if he can get a top 5 as he hunts down Brody Hanna. In the gap, Wesley, right now between Solari and Brown, 1.7 seconds. We saw that in stage number 1, but we saw Tyler Brown and Tony Solari quickly narrow that down. I wouldn't say this stage is going to be won by Tony Solari just yet, as J.P. Burns pulls out of line, pulls one heck of a move on Blackner, but Blackner throws the block all the way down into turn number 12 and opens up the door for the 23 of Brody Hanna.
And I'll tell you what, Jason, let's give some props to our friend of the North, the 99 of John Paul Burns. What a way to come back here, redeem himself after the bad luck he had at Bristol on the concrete half-mile last great Coliseum last week. Now got a solid race going for him. He's in the top 5. He's getting stage points. All these guys trying to run down that Menards number 11 for Fury Motorsports Ford. Tony Solari, there's the Best Buy entry. Remember, Blackner had problems in stage 1. What a turnaround for him in third in the double deuce.
Yeah, definitely a great rebound for the 22 of Michael Blackner. Like you had mentioned, currently running P3. He's back by a little bit, but definitely not out of this race by any stretch of the imagination. He definitely was probably the biggest gainer there on that first round of pit stops after the completion of stage 1. Remember, he pitted around lap number 7, came in, took those tires and fuel, and elected to stay out, restarted second. He's only lost 1 spot, so this is pretty much a huge W if you're a Michael Blackner fan or the driver of the number 22 machine. Doing a great job wheeling and dealing here for Fury Motorsports as he runs down Tyler Brown there for second as they come up through turn 6.
Going to be closing in on also the end of stage number 2. Remember, that's lap number 20 with 17 laps to go. Got a couple of laps remaining. This is Blackner now. He's got Burns in tow. They're going after Brown for the bridesmaid spot. And while that goes on, Jason, it is Tony Solari gone. There you see the interval as we got one going off course. Bliss in trouble in the 3.
Oh! And Brian Bliss nearly makes contact with about a couple drivers right there trying to merge back onto the racing surface. And the same thing almost would happen with Joey McKinney, but he takes Kyle Milliken. Kyle Milliken just gave him no room there coming off the corner. And then this is where all heck about broke loose. Almost comes into Sherwood Wilford, almost comes into Cody McKinney. And then the 5 machine of Tom Price and then TJ Bartell. So about 3 or 4 trucks nearly nail the Blackwater Chevrolet machine of Brian Bliss, who finds himself residing in the 19th spot right now as we're closing in here on the end of the stage. And the gap is kind of dwindling down. Tyler Brown, Wesley, starting to close in for a few tenths here on Solari for the race lead.
Good news is for that man, obviously not getting hit or crashed, but he did fall all the way back in that number 3 of Brian Bliss, losing 7 spots. He had a run to get a chance to be in the top 10 for at least a stage point or 2. That falls by the wayside. Nonetheless, they work their way off of turn number 19 and 20. Here comes the leader, the Ford for Fury Motorsports, Tony Solari. He is trying now to cross the line. 1 to go in stage 1 at COTA. Stage 2, correction, stage 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2 to go right here at the line. Remember, completion of the race on lap 37, completion of stage 2 at the end of lap number 20. So either this one or the next time by will be the completion of stage number 2. And it is this lap. So this is the last lap in this stage. Tony Solari still able to hold everybody at bay, trying to take home another stage win, of which points are so valuable for him at this part of the season, trying to make it in to the playoffs, trying to climb the standings all the way outside the top 10, top 15 Tony Solari doing a great job. But Michael Blackner, though, Wesley, he is closed in on Tyler Brown. Going to have a battle for second here for the stage.
You know what's so crazy, Jason? You look at the interval, it's, we got problems with the 2 off course again. Oh, no, he blew the engine. Tough break for Alan Duranko. He is out of it. The Martin Sports number 2 Toyota, whatever he did, damaged and all, and hand grenaded the virtual power plant, Jason. He's done for. Oh, my goodness.
That is a hard hit for the number 2 right into the tire barriers. And unfortunately for him, unlike real life, those tire barriers, the foam barriers there on the exit of turn number 6 down into 7, those are not soft walls. So anything that you very well may hit here will probably result in heavy and significant damage to your truck. And just like that, Alan Duranko will be the second driver out of tonight's race, besides James Torrey down there in 22nd. Cody McKinney down 3 laps right now in 21st, so that could be another point added to the resume for him here tonight. But off turn number 19, this time by Tony Solari, has had Tyler Brown hot on his heels so far all race long. Got past him with about 2 laps to go in stage 1, got it done. And just like that, Tony Solari is going to come off turn number 20 and pick up stage number 2. Second goes to Tyler Brown. Third, Michael Blackner. Fourth, JP Burns. Fifth, Brody Hanna. That's your top 5. Sixth, Joseph Grijalva. Seventh, Ryan Chapman coming back there in the top 10 for some points. Eighth is Ben Tracy. Ninth is Lewis Meglin. And 10th there, Wesley, is Robert Malicki, and rebounding there for that one valuable point. And so far, not the chaos we saw in stage 1, but I can only imagine it's going to ramp up here for stage number 3.
Yeah, what a job we just saw with those guys getting it done. And obviously, Solari in that number 11 machine got a nice strong run for him. Tyler Brown, by the way, the short track winner at Bristol last week. What a good contender. Obviously getting points, stage points for everybody. As we mentioned, 1 to 10, 10 to 1 for the points count. Everyone else gets no points. And got to give a prop to Robert Milliken as well as Lewis Meglin to miss some of that chaos that happened, obviously, Jason, in the second stage with about 6-7 laps of racing we had, and get back into the podium. At least top 10 for that matter to get stage points. And how about Joseph Gerlafa in the number 66? Didn't you say he's making his debut? How about him getting 6th position and getting himself a little points action as well for his race tonight at COTA?
Yeah, again, Joseph Grijalva, very poor start to the season over on the Cup Series there for the Mach 1 drivers, but tonight makes his debut in the trucks this season, coming home 6th in stage number 2. He is definitely no slouch here on the road courses. We saw him be really strong last year, late in the 2023 season, and obviously makes his debut here tonight. Maybe he can come home with a victory somehow miraculously, so we'll have to find out. But real quick, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to let these drivers come down pit road here. And Tony Solari, your race leader, does anybody have anything for him here at Circuit of the Americas? We'll be right back for the start of Stage 3.
Years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Drag race to the line!
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. Here at Hercules Foundation Repair, we are here to help with our free in-home evaluations and personal repair plans. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Sim Racing Points Truck Series here for the FTSR drivers. Just wrapping up stage number 2, won by Tony Solari, getting ready to come back to the green here in probably about another lap and a half or so. And with that being said, here's the Virginia811.com reminding you to dig with care. Race summary here tonight at Circuit of the Americas. 2 cautions, both for the stage breaks. 6 caution laps so far. 5 lead changes. Been a pretty competitive race up here for the front of this race between both Tony Solari, Tyler Brown, and then you could really throw in Michael Blackner into the mix of that, who's running in 4th. And obviously it's been a really interesting race, to say the least, so far. And also remember, too, coming up here to race on the Dirt Car Comp Cam Series, coming April 5th and 6th, exclusively on Race On. And Charles, I guess while we're sitting here under caution, man, I know you're really excited. You told me right when you heard the news, you were like, oh, I'm so excited we get the Dirt Car Comp Cam Series on. Tell us a little bit about that, man, and how are you anticipating that season over there on Race On with what y'all are doing?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we got a taste of them last year. It wasn't exclusively, but this year it is exclusive on raceon.com. It's what, $39.99 a month. You know, we do give 50% of that back to the series as well, to support them. So if you want to support the series and watch the race, you sign up, you watch it. 50% goes to them. They get supported as well, and they can keep putting on these 5,000 and 10,000 to win races.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting. Remember, April 5th and 6th is going to be starting.
And you know what I like about it, obviously, Jason, is, I was looking at highlights, and you've got all these different streaming platforms of the past where you can choose where you can go, where you can watch. Now you can go exclusively to Race On, like Charles reiterated on, every event, every race. And I think it's pretty cool that the World Racing Group sees an interest in the Deep South now with the ComCam Super Dirt Late Model Series. And I think it's really going to take that to another stratosphere for promotion, as well as getting the car counts to pick up for that tour.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. And Wesley, you've been in the business long enough too. And I mean, supporting your local short track, your local series, some of these hometown heroes, local sponsors, and even out here on the sim, there's a lot of guys who run local businesses that have come on to the sim. You think about Martin Sports over there, Scott and Sue Martin, great group of people. Scott, we absolutely love you over here, man. I know I love you too, because you're just an awesome dude. He's over there sponsoring out in Michigan many obviously iRacers on the platform, and obviously many series throughout the iRacing community. But Wesley, like I'd mentioned, you've been in the business long enough. It is so important these days to obviously go out, support these local hometown heroes, support your local tracks, and obviously support those grassroots racing type series.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man, for sure. And obviously it's good to see, again, Race On Texas expanding to what now Race On is, taking it to another level on the national brand in the Deep South. And obviously I think it's cool to see what Chris David and the powers that be have done with Charles as well. Charles is right there. He produced that broadcast at Arrowhead Raceway. I was really fond of the opening ceremonies with the lights cutting on and off and coming to a green flag for restart with the lights flashing. I thought it was really cool. And speaking of lights off, the lights are off on the safety car. Jason, we're about a half a lap away from getting this thing back underway, my friend, and we're going to have a 14-lap shootout to determine it here. I think the peg monitor is going to be in full maximum overload for aggression and trying to let everything hang for the finish. You are going to give it all you got here in this final stretch to the checkered flag.
Yeah, going to be very interesting for sure. And obviously Tyler Brown was able to take over the race lead once again at the end of those pit stops on pit road. Tony Solari lost one there. JP Burns finds himself P3. Michael Blackner P4. Brody Hanna rounds out your top 5. 6th, Ryan Chapman, the pole sitter, slowly but surely making a comeback, making less mistakes. We'll see what he has. Then you have Ben Tracy, Joseph Grojava, Robert Malikian in the 16 machine, and Lewis Meglin rounding out your top 10. And Wesley, you talk about obviously this race intensifying, and still we're going to see the same great action we saw in stages 1 and 2. But man, you got to give it all you have right here. This is road course racing. You cannot afford a mistake.
No, you can't. You can't. And I'm telling you, I really think we're going to start to see a slip or two. Hey, Day Motorsports, whatever that was about, I saw something flipping and flopping on the screen. So I guess they're a partner also of the ComCam Dirt Car Super Dirt Series. I guess I don't know who that was. Day Motorsports Restart Zone. I guess I don't know. Was that an error? I think that was an error. I think you clicked the wrong button. All right, we're back to reality here. We're gonna get this thing settled here. It's time to pick your drivers, Jason. Who's it gonna be? Man, I gotta tell you though, Tyler Brown, he's been playing possum all night. He's been right there in contention of Tony Solari. But I'm telling you, Tony Solari's got a really, really strong truck. I just wonder if he can survive it. Look at Blackner, who had problems earlier in the race. Look at Ryan Chapman, the pole machine. His bad luck in the first stage has put him back to consistency in stage 2. He's in a good spot to try to get a pole upset win here as we get ready to decide it here now with 14 to go.
Yeah, this very well here could be like a duel at high noon in the heart of Texas, down in Austin here from Circuit of the Americas. Will it be a duel between Tony Solari and Tyler Brown, or will it be somebody else sneaking away with a victory here tonight on this over 3-mile road course? Here we go. Stage number 3 is about to go green. Tyler Brown, Tony Solari lead them down into the restart zone. They slow. They go back, going through the gas, up through the gears. 14 laps to go from Circuit of the Americas and all the way down into turn number 1. Tyler Brown inside, outside goes the Solari. Tyler Brown pins the corner just perfectly. Solari loose off the curbing.
Whoa.
He's under fire from JP Burns as the field is scrambling behind him into turn 2.
I'm trying to take it 3 and 4 wide for just a moment, but that didn't last for a long time. Here they come through the Estes, snaking through these turns. All the while, Brown up in front by a half a truck length on Solari. Burns is back there. Hannah, Blackner, all these guys right now working off that turn, working midway through the course.
Yeah, and you see midway through the course, look at Ben Tracy went really wide there heading through the corner before they hit turn number 8 into 9, and now heading into turn 10. Ben Tracy trying to come back and pass Lewis Meglin all the way down into the hard braking zone into turn number 11. He'll have the inside advantage, but might not have the run here off the corner. Meglin uses the runoff area. So does Malikian, and oh no, the 43 of Meglin forgot there was grass there, I think, and just nags it and almost hits the outside guardrail, but he's able to get back on track into the runoff area, and he'll fall deep throughout the field as they head into turn 12.
Somehow saved it. Working their way with that 11 machine. Trying to run down Brown. By the way, the interval already in second. You know what blows me away? Whoa, hold on there, Hannah. Brody, Hannah almost going off course there for a second. Jason opens the door to the inside to Blackner. Chapman licking his chops, ready to pounce on him, as well as the G-Man in the 66. And I was going to say something, though, Jason. Brown has already opened up the interval at 1.4 seconds. That's almost a second and a half. You go on a short track or you go on a speedway, a second and a half looks like a big, big gap, right? It looks like they're literally right there nestled with one another as they work around the road course here at COTA.
And the great thing is about road course racing is one slip up, one wrong mistake, one slide off a corner, and it can lose you seconds, it can lose you tenths. And all the time is so valuable here as Brown opens it up about half a second more all the way to turn 1. Now coming into 2 as they head up the hill. There's Colby Mize. Oh, he might overshoot the corner. He runs right into the back of the 33. Brian Bliss tags the rear tailgate of the number 8 DoorDash Toyota machine. Gives him another bump there heading out of the corner as they head back to turn number 2. And Brian Bliss starting to fall all the way back now. Side by side. Oh, Sherwood Williford in the Taz Goodwrench machine. Throwback to Kevin Harvick in 2001. Goes around at a turn number 2, and he'll fall all the way back there to the 19th spot.
Back around single file through those turns as we mentioned. Closing in on 12 laps remaining. Look at now Chapman going after Blackner. And can you help me again with the name? Grijalva?
Oh, yep, there you go.
Grijalva, okay. Well, Mr. Grijalva and the Autosport 66 Ford is making a jump here in the top 5. What a debut for a guy that you said normally runs series on Monday night. Looking good right now, trying to climb into the top 5.
Yeah, doing a great job indeed. Currently running 7th, just behind Ryan Chapman. And then, obviously, the 22 machine of Michael Blackner holds the top 5 spot. They're in 5th. Chapman trying to close that gap, just can't do it. Into the corners, he's so strong. Off the corners, loses a little bit of speed. And just like we were talking about, Wesley, you talked about the short track, so the 1.5 miles, the 2 miles. Usually a second half doesn't really look like a lot. They're kind of grouped up, or at least it looks like it's a really long distance. But here at a road course, one mistake, one slip up, you are going around, or you are losing tenths, almost seconds rather, So this lead from Tyler Brown very well could evaporate here within these 13 laps. We saw it once in stage number 1, and in stage number 2, Brown almost closed the gap up completely to Tony Solari here as they head into 1.
12 laps to go. Back up the hill, Brown in the lead, Solari, Burns. There you see him right there in third. Hanna had a little slip on the restart. He fell back to 4th. He's 3.5 seconds back, along with Blacker. 5 seconds back also to Chapman outside the top 5. You see them working their way through the S's, snaking through the corners. And all the while, Brown, when it counts the most, Jason, has pulled away from Solari. You got to wonder if Solari is playing possum, waiting for the right time to pounce on Brown. But right now, Brown, winner last week at Bristol, trying to double down here at COTA. By the way, next week they're at Richmond, short track racing.
Yeah, more short track racing. We were at Bristol from the half mile 1 week ago, and then we'll head out to Richmond, Virginia next week. Tonight we're at Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas, and the lockup there from the 7 of Wayne Grossi gets past Lewis Meglin in the 43, able to put the power down. It's getting interesting, obviously, here with just 12 laps to go, coming up to 11. Gap still 1.6, 1.7 seconds from Solari to Brown. And JP Burns, don't count him out. We haven't really talked about him all the while tonight. But remember, fastest in practice. He is a sleeper pick, I'd say, in this scenario here, Wesley. A guy who probably can take these 2 given the opportunity.
There you see the 7 of Wayne Grossi. Wayne Grossi. Lewis Meglin. Colby Mice, all these guys right there battling. Mice might be going off course, and there he goes. Colby Mice just got the short end of the stick. Trying to really get back up on the track here. He just fell back to 13th. They work off to the front straightaway again. There's the 35, Tracy now. Coming to the line, 11 to go. Open the door inside. Milliken can't get the clear.
And Milliken trying to run down Ben Tracy there. He's going to have an opportunity going into turn number 1. He'll take the wider arc approach all the way into turn number 1, and it might very well work out for him. He gains just a little bit there heading out of 1, now into turn number 2. We've seen this 42 struggle a little bit here tonight, going through the S's a little bit slower. How is Ben Tracy going to handle these S's? They head through it. Looks like Milliken a little bit faster than Ben Tracy. Closes up to the rear tailgate of the Ford F-150 machine of Tracy as they head out of the corner, heading into turn number 6. Now 7, about to head into 8. And they're still nose to tail as Wesley, leaders are starting to kind of get a little bit more narrowed up. The gap is only 0.5 of a second, so Solari closes in a ton on Tyler Brown here.
Brown, Solari, Burns, Hanna, Blackner. We approach 10 laps to go when they come to the line here in about another half a lap. What a great opportunity for Brown, but look at this interval shrinking though. Tony Solari starting to make a climb, Jason. I'm wondering if it's go time now for the number 11. He's reeling in the leader to the outside on driver right.
Nearly makes contact with the 00 there, heading through into turns 13 and 14, now through 15 and 16, down the little straightaway underneath the bridge, down into 17. They're going to be side by side for the race lead here, and Brown slams the door. Solari slides up. They're almost side by side. Here comes JP Burns following right behind him. Solari gets to the inside, not enough. He'll have to tuck back in line all the way through 19 down into 20. We've seen a lot of lockups here from the race leaders going into 20. Brown really gets on the brakes. Solari, though, trying to put the power down, slides the back end out. 10 laps to go, this time here in COTA.
Ready for these guys to get into line with these virtual machines. Get their chess pieces in order. Time to declare checkmate on the field. Burns now trying to get a run on Solari. Solari through the block from the outside, back to the bottom of the driver right of the 99. And Burns had nothing he could do except get back in line and get nose to tail and look at the tailgate of Solari's 11. And now, while that goes on, looking at the tailgate of the 00 of Brown is Solari, and he's trying all he can to make some evasive moves here. I think he knows it's go time. He pushes that button, Jason, but he doesn't want to overdo it and make a mistake and crash.
Definitely does not want to make a mistake, not at this stretch in the race with just 10 laps to go. Tony Solari trying to turn up the heat, but also trying not to cool himself down. He needs to be in full effect, 100% focus mode, and he's doing just that, trying to reel in Tyler Brown, and he's got JP Burns hot on his heels right behind him. These trucks are nose to tail as they head down the long straightaway underneath the archway down into turn number 12. Tyler Brown, you see a little bit of shaking, a little bit of bobbing and weaving, trying to get on the brakes hard but not lock them up. Does a great job getting through 12, and as they head into 13 and 14, Tony Solari right there to pounce if Tyler Brown makes one mistake, and we've seen Solari be so good through this course of the racetrack.
Three-quarters of the lap complete. Brown, Solari working their way now, heading towards the Whataburger turn. And a few more turns around. Solari just being patient. When will he make his move? Right now, he's lost ground on Brown again by about 3/4 of a second. Working into 18, 19, and 20, coming to the line. Single digits now, Jason. At the home stretch we go. 9 laps to go here at COTA. When do you make your move? When is Solari going to be aggressive to climb the hill? This might be a good time to go for the pass, but not this time. It's not going to happen.
Closes up the gap a ton going into turn number 1. Just not enough. It is definitely go time. You want all the track position that you can have. You want to try to get away from the guy in second, or if you are in second, try to run down the leader as quickly as possible. Through the S's they go. Solari closes up the gap to the back bumper of Tyler Brown. JP Burns right there behind them. If anything happens, Brody Hanna as well. Right back there, 3.5 seconds. Michael Blackner in the top 5, 4.5 back. Solari makes a mistake. It might cost him the race. JP Burns opened up the door right there. Solari over the rumble strips. Major overcorrection from the 11 machine, and JP Burns is through to second. Solari's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get back to the race lead.
Oh, and by the way, while all that happened between the 99 and the 11 that you see continuing to heat up again for the bridesmaid spot, the 00, Tyler Brown, has checked out almost a second and a half. I know it doesn't look like a lot from the camera angle from the awesome views of Charles Wooten, but you can literally see the race slipping away for Burns and Solari. They're going to have to try to find a way to make amends and work together, but they're not done yet, running door to door as they work heading toward the Whataburger turn and turn 18.
Solari really went all the way down nearly to the grass into turn number 12. He is trying his hardest to go around the number 99. He could see the wind slipping away from his gloves, trying the best he can to get back to the second spot and make a run for the race leader of Tyler Brown. It's going to be 8 laps to go this time by as they head around the carousel through 17 and 18, coming into 19. Solari now back by 2.5 seconds. JP Burns back by 2. Don't know if they're going to have enough time to get to Tyler Brown, but we've seen these leaders make a lot of mistakes here tonight. Tyler Brown just trying to do smooth sailing here for the next 8 laps.
Best thing to do right now, just kind of hold on. Up the hill, Brown comfortable up in front now. The interval increasing almost to 2 seconds. And so that going on, Burns and Solari continue to battle. I'll tell you what, Jason, the 99 man, John Paul Burns for Elevated Esports, he waited for the right opportunity to watch Solari capitalize, and Solari slipped. And when he did, like taking candy away from your baby or taking away your high school sweetheart from your best friend, That's exactly what we saw the 99 do to Solari, and that's literally take this race away from him in the late rally, and they're allowing Brown to pull away in the process.
He just took away his prom date right there for sure, and that was J.P. Burns overtaking Solari, and now he's trying to take prom king from Tyler Brown here as they head down into turn number 11. The gap is kind of narrowed down from 2 down to 1.3, 1.4 seconds as they head down into turn number 12, down the long straightaway. Tyler Brown trying to keep the draft wake out of J.P. Burns' reach as they head down the straightaway. The gap closing even more. Burns down to 2.2 seconds into the hard braking zone through turn number 12. And Wesley, this looks like a big gap on the race leaderboard here, but look at those trucks all going through now into turn 13 and 14. They were all grouped up. One mistake in track position is going to be right there for the grasp of everybody else if you make a mistake.
You're exactly right. Sorry about that, Jason. One of my channels went dead on my mixer. I'm trying to change the XLR setting, but yeah, man, you're exactly right. 8 laps to go. Everything right now perfectly going for the driver of Mr. Tyler Brown, holding on to his positions. You got those Toyotas in the back of Burns and Solari. Hannah Blackner in the top 5, but they're still 4 or 5 seconds back. The race to win up the hill with 7 to go is going to be between Brown, Burns, and Solari. But the thing is this, the 99 and 11, they've got to stop battling. They got to get back single file. They got to make a run on that 00. If they do not, they're going to give this win for 2 wins in a row for Bristol and Circuit of the Americas to Tyler Brown.
And that would be absolutely fantastic for Tyler Brown, but he doesn't want to get his hopes up just yet because J.P. Burns has closed that gap in now to under a second. It is about 7 to 6 tenths now of a second as you look at some of the more battles going on throughout that little pack. Ryan Chapman, the pole sitter, trying to get back into the top 5 and pass Michael Blackner. Joseph Grijalva trying to get a top 5 run in his debut here in the Sim Racing Points Truck Series for the FTSR boys. Running down Ryan Chapman as they both slip up out of turn 10, heading into 11. Grijalva thought about going to the inside. He'll tuck back in line, let Ryan Chapman lock up the brakes, and just like that, it was a game of chicken. And for that, the game of chicken was won by Joseph Grijalva, and Ryan Chapman falls back now to the 7th spot.
Took advantage of that opportunity and certainly has single file as they're working their way down halfway through the course here at Circuit of the Americas. This big, massive 5.513 kilometer 20 turn road course in virtual Austin, Texas. That is 3.426 miles. Obviously, that turn 11 becomes that straightaway. Then they head into those sharp twists and turns and curves, heading now back towards the Whataburger turn at 18, 19, and 20. It is a free falling for everyone behind the leaders. It is a Sunday afternoon drive on a virtual Wednesday night, Jason, for Tyler Brown. And all he's got to do to hit his marks like he's doing, he's going to get a big win here.
And it could be a big win, but it also could be a big win that was missed for an opportunity by the 00 machine because J.P. Burns is still giving him a little bit of pressure. Burns is really good through the part of the racetrack, through turns 4 all the way to 11. And then Tyler Brown starts to extend the gap out of turn number 16. We'll see what happens. Tony Solari still trying to do everything he can. Tyler Brown goes way wide, leaves a little bit of room for J.P. Burns to get an advantage through the corners. It's now 5-6 tenths of a second. This is still anybody's race throughout this entire top 5, all the way back to probably the top 7 there, as you look at all these drivers who have just absolutely checked out by over 10 seconds from Chapman to Milliken. Anybody in this top 7 has an opportunity to win this race here. As here we go for the race lead, J.P. Burns. Oh, he makes contact. Wow. He sends the 00 up the racetrack. 3-4 trucks under a blanket as they head through turn number 9. No. J.P. Burns goes around off the bumper of Tony Solari, and just like that,
is out of contention here at COTA. Brody Hanna moves into second. Tyler Brown holds on to the race lead. Oh my goodness.
What might have been the hook right here. Watch this. Solari into the left rear. Blackner checks up on the bottom of the driver left. And nowhere to go for the 99 of Burns. He is out of it. And I bet you he is PO'd as well. 6 laps to go. All gone for the man of the number 99. And now, here comes Hanna. Brody Hanna has now put himself into the number 2 spot. He's right there within a cat's whisker of Brown. Blackner is up to 3rd. Solari, by the way, fell all the way back, Jason, to 6th. He is stuck in a storm here as here comes Brown under attack. And there's more contact off the racetrack. What is that, Grijalva? Grijalva, the guy that runs on the Monday series about wreck. Grijalva, yeah. Oh, my.
Able to take away the 3rd spot there from Ryan Chapman, and also the 22 of Michael Blackner. 2-for-1 special going through turn number 16. And Grijalva in his debut could run down the race leaders. Tyler Brown definitely has a little bit of tire wear due to nearly wrecking through turn number 8. So his tires might be a little shot. The question's going to be is what does Brody Hanna have for the race leader? Can Joseph Grijalva get up there and battle with them? He's back by 2 seconds. 5 laps to go here in Austin, and the 00 overshoots one again.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Back around off those turns. Looking at it as they set up to the S's.
Oh.
It is Hanna down to the inside. Brody Hanna got the line to the outside. He pulled the block in front of Brown. He made it work. Grijalva right there, ready to pounce on him as a coiled Cobra 2. Olay, it's time to go on the 00. He's going after Brown. They're halfway through the course and working down. New leader Brody Hanna hit his mark perfectly. The Fury Motorsports board is to the lead. Can he hold on to it, though? We're not done yet.
I cannot believe Brody Hanna made just such a ballsy move going into turn number 3 like that on the inside. That was going to be the outside heading through into turn number 4, and somehow he made it work, but he's not done yet. Here comes Joseph Grijalva. He is through to second. Tyler Brown's tires are virtually shot. Oh, and here comes Ryan Chapman, the guy who was wrecked at the beginning of this race. This is such an outstanding race here in the closing laps with 4.5 laps to go from the virtual circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Joseph Grijalva trying to win his first career Sim Racing Points Truck Series race in his first start, chasing the man who has been so dominant in this series and has the sponsorship on the hood. Brody Hanna, your race lead. Still, though, a 6-truck battle for the race win here as we're running out of breath, I can only imagine, Wesley.
Boy, Grijalva right there. He's got some fans in El Paso, Texas watching, and ready is Joe Grijalva. And right now we're ready to see what this man can do. Joseph Grijalva making his debut in that BKA number 66 irregular on the Monday series here tonight. Doing well, hitting his marks in second. He's right there with it. Catch Whisker. Oh, he's on the inside of Hanna. He couldn't clear him. 4 to go. Less than, 16 miles left to go here at COTA.
It is a race to the checkered flag. Brody Hanna opened up the door wide for Joseph Grijalva. He locks up the tires going through 1. Grijalva to the inside. Can't get the power down. Hanna's going to have the advantage, but Grijalva has the arc going into turn number 2, heading into 3 and 4 now. This is where the 23 was strong a couple laps ago, but Grijalva trying to close the gap, and no mistakes made out of these drivers. Hanna's going to go a little bit wide, opens up the door for Grijalva as they head into 6.
Jason, gotta ask you this question as they're closing in.
No!
Oh, Grijalva comes around! Oh, no! Oh,
my
heartbreak.
goodness.
Oh, so much for my question.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
I was going to say, do you think these trucks are going away with their handling and their tires? And you just saw what happened, obviously, to Joseph Grijalva there. Man, fun while it lasted. Hey, and by the way, look who's up to second now. Chapman. Ryan Chapman. Remember the problems the Elevated Esports man had, the pole machine. He has rallied back. He is back in the catbird seat in second to go after Hannah. 3 to go.
3 laps to go this time by, and all you could do is sob for Joseph Grijalva, JP Burns, and also Tony Solari. But Solari is not out of this race by any stretch of the imagination. It might be a 5-second gap now to second place and first. But if these two tangle up like we've seen a couple of the race leaders do, he's right there. It could be a great night for the 11 and 00, but we'll have to see. Going to be 3 laps to go this time by. We saw how strong the 27 was in practice and in qualifying, but Brody Hanna answered right back with a strong run in both sessions. Now finds himself the race leader. He is no slouch on the road course. It's no surprise that the driver of the number 23 machine finds himself out front, finished 3rd here 1 year ago, and Ryan Chapman trying to do something that we have not seen at a road course since probably Chase Elliott all the way back in the early 2020s at the Charlotte Roval, wrecking into turn number 1 on a restart late in the race, came all the way back and won at the Charlotte Roval. Can Ryan Chapman pull off the Chase Elliott? We'll have to see. He's back by 2.5 seconds as they head through the S's.
I remember that. I was actually at that race, believe it or not, when he hit that Tums heartburn turn number 1 and had to fight and claw to get back to the field, and he went on to win the event. I want to say it was the 2021 Bank of America Roval 400. But anyhow, we roll into the finish of this one. Hanna and Chapman 1 and 2. Solari up to 3rd, but he's 5 seconds back. Chapman back 2.5 seconds. If Brody Hanna does not make a mistake or falter, Jason, you could see the 23 in victory lane here for the Full Throttle Sim Racing Truck Series here at COTA. Just got to make sure you don't make your own mistake. Don't make your own mental errors in your own head to slip. Right now, everybody's got to be drained and tired. This has been a long race, believe it or not. We've been going at it for, what, an hour and a half now? Close to it.
And it is almost approaching 2 hours here pretty shortly once it hits 11 o'clock, and we'll probably finish up here just in the nick of time before 11 o'clock strikes on the clock. And we're going to have to see. They're going to hit 2 laps to go this time by. Chapman really strong through this portion of the racetrack. These few sectors and turns. Closes the gap to Brody Hanna, but once they get through turn 1, Brody Hanna sets sail and just extends that gap. We'll have to see. Last week, Brody Hanna, 7th place at Bristol. Ryan Chapman, runner-up to Tyler Brown at Bristol Motor Speedway, leading 1 lap compared to Tyler Brown, 62 laps led. But still, these two drivers going at it. The gap, 1.5 seconds here remaining. 2 laps to go. Does anybody, especially Ryan Chapman, have anything left for the 23? 2 to go now as they hit the line.
The penultimate lap of the race, with now less than 7 miles remaining. All the while, Brody Hanna continuing to stay in front. That Fury Motorsports entry. There you see the man in second, Ryan Chapman. And Jason, that's got to be like a win for the Elevated Esports Toyota number 27. Don't count him out. He's starting to close in if he can. If a slip by Hanna happens. But Chapman, got to say that's, second place after the issues he had earlier, struggled in the race. I'm proud of him. I'll take that.
I'd take it too, but I tell you what, Wesley, if there's one thing that a driver, whether it be in real or sim racing, wants, it is a win. And when you could see that driver in first place cross the finish line in your line of view, it is a gut punch for sure. And Ryan Chapman, after such an anticipated night, taking the pole here, trying to see if he can run down Brody Hanna, and he is just, time is ticking for that 27 machine. He's closing the gap a little bit. Don't know if it's going to be enough. 1.5 laps to go. The gap is 1.3 seconds. He's in the draft wake, able to close up a little bit. 1.2 seconds down to 1.1. He's going to have to get into the braking zones very hard and have great exits if he wants to close in on Brody Hanna now as they head into turn number 13.
This is it, working through now. Those final turns closing in on the conclusion of 2 to go. Hanna right there. You see him, ironically, in that Sim Racing Points number 23 entry. That's Ford for Fury Motorsports. Right behind him, Chapman. Chapman, a little wiggle there for a minute, Jason. Got a little wiggle. He lost more ground. Cut it to 1.3 seconds now. Hanna and Chapman, meanwhile, here they come, working down to the line off turn 1920 through the Whataburger turn, and the white flag is coming up as they work to the final lap here at COTA to decide who's going to win it.
White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go here for Brody Hanna. 3.4 miles to go. CRN 1 to go at wearecrn.com for Brody Hanna, trying to close the gap, or rather trying to extend the gap and pick up his 3rd win of the season. Ryan Chapman trying his best to close the gap in. He's going to have to try to throw some sort of Hail Mary through these corners if he wants to run down this number 23 machine.
Payout window wide open now on this lap. This is the only lap that pays. Brody Hanna, Fury Motorsports, hitting his marks, working through those S's of the racetrack, heading to turn number 10, halfway home. 10 turns down, 10 turns to go. Hanna, Chapman still a second and a half as they work into turn 11 and 12.
Brody Hanna just trying everything in his power not to lock it up, not to chatter the rear tires. The gap is 1.2 seconds. Ryan Chapman had a great exit through turn number 11, heading down into turn number 12. The gap is going to be now under a second. Does Ryan Chapman have anything left for the number 23? Down into turn number 12. Brody Hanna hard on the brakes. Ryan Chapman even harder on the brakes. Gets through it really nicely. He's going to have a few more corners. It's starting to catch him, but it's slipping away.
It's Hanna, Chapman, Solari, and the interval now by those drivers are 7-8 seconds, 11 seconds back to Joseph G. Obviously 15 seconds to the top 5 to Kyle Milliken. But Brody Hanna is getting one more last burst of momentum from Ryan Chapman. Can the pole machine rally back and make something happen? Time is running out. They're heading to the Whataburger turns, heading to the finish line. Joshua, here they come. Oh my goodness. Let's see if Hanna and Chapman can battle for the finish. Jason, who's going to win it off the final turns?
Through turn number 20, Ryan Chapman gave it his all, from the front to the back to the front, but he's going to come home one spot short. Brody Hanna, after a chaotic-filled COTA race, is going to win here in Austin, Texas at Circuit of the Americas and pick up his 3rd win of the Sim Racing Points Truck Series, and does it in dramatic fashion after an amazing last 10 laps here around the road course. Stellar job by all these drivers. And Wesley, what a race, especially for a road course where we see these guys get really strung out. And don't overkid yourself. This race was stretched out immensely, but the finish, great.
Can I say something? And I think it's got a lot to do with having the stages. We see races, we've called races in the past, Jason, in the years we've worked together, where literally you see maybe a caution come out before halfway, and that's all you get. Strategy's out the window. With having 2 cautions at the end of the stages, with seeing these guys get bunched up on the restarts, it really changed the strategy. It changed the way this race scenario turned out. Hanna at one time, Jason, fell all the way back in the top 20 with problems in the race in stage 1, but he rallied, he put himself together. How about Ryan Chapman? Let's give props to him. Remember, he slipped in the first stage. He was all the way in the back. He came back and finishes in 2nd. That's got to be like a win for the driver of that 27 machine.
Yeah, no doubt. And talk about a driver, too, who had major heartbreak, but somehow rallied for a podium finish, which was very much needed. And the two stage wins, or rather, yeah, the two stage wins are really going to help him out. And Tony Solari, and he comes home third, so great run for him. Joseph Grajava, fourth. Kyle Millick in the top 5. But as Brody Hanna celebrates here, let's take a look at the live simracingtv.com unofficial race results here from Circuit of the Americas. Brody Hanna obviously taking the win here tonight. Third win of the season for the driver, the 23 from Fury Motorsports. Ryan Chapman second, Solari third, Grajava in his debut in the series fourth. Kyle Milliken comes home P5. Tyler Brown there in sixth, despite having such a dominant truck. Michael Blackner comes home in 7th. Robert Malikian comes home in 8th. J.P. Burns in 9th. And Colby Mice, despite all the action he had here tonight, he'll round out the top 20. Or the top 10, rather.
Picking up 11 spots going to be Lewis Meglin in that 43. Ben Tracy is 12th. Joey McKinney is 13th. Brian Bliss will finish 14th. Wayne Grossi 15th. TJ Bartell is 16th. Sherwood Williford all the way back, a minute 28 seconds back, a minute and change for Johnson. At one time, he was up in front. Tom Price.
We apologize for the technical difficulties here on LSRTV, but we welcome you back to the podium interviews here. Jason Rockfell, Wesley Outland, and Charles Wooten. Wesley Outland has gone off to the tumbleweeds out in Texas. He is nowhere to be found, but thank you, Mr. Wesley, for joining us here tonight for the coverage of LSRTV here. And we're going to talk to our drivers here in just a moment. And with that being said, we're going to go over to third place, Mr. Tony Solari. Tony, we were just talking about it. We were joking about it right before we came back online. What went wrong, man? What went wrong?
Well, like I told Charles when he bounced down during the second stage or whatever it was, and I go, it just gets greasy out there, and I ended up burning the tires up and ended up getting into JP. Kind of feel bad for him. He was having a really good run. He had a great truck, and curb hop knocked into him, and yeah, just I was amazed to get back to third, but yeah, it was a little rough that last stage. Second stage, the thing was on rails, or that second run, and the rails got destroyed somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously you guys head into Richmond next week, where you've won in the Cup Series there. So how do you feel about going in there next week, knowing that you have the confidence, you have the talent to go out there and win?
Well, I don't know if it's talent or even confidence over there. That was kind of a late race pit caution, and I had some freshies, and was able to hold it off just barely. But yeah, we'll give it a shot as usual. I like a short track too.
It definitely should be fun. Well, Tony, with that being said, man, who do you got to thank for this great third place run here tonight from Circuit of the Americas?
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out, first of all, because usually some people don't even want to buy this track just because it is what it is. So thanks to all the competitors, thanks to the league, thanks to Brody for putting on all this show as usual. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to Michael for all the extra work, and our MIA teammate Richie. Fury, we got a 1-3 finish out of this, so that's good. We'll be talking to Brody soon enough. And thanks to Mom and Dad. They're out there watching. They said it was very exciting and seemed like they had a good time with it.
Always got to thank Mom and Dad. If it's not Richie Coy or Brody Hanna saying thanks to Tony's Mom and Dad, Tony gets to say thanks for
yes,
Mom
every
and Dad
once
for
in a while
watching.
I get to do it too.
Yeah, you get to do it every once in a while. It's Tony Solari, driver the number 11 for Fury Motorsports, coming home P3 after a strong and dominant run here tonight. And now we'll head over to the bridesmaid, Ryan Chapman. Ryan, again, just like with Tony, man, we were talking right there before we came back online, and you were running really strong at the end, but in the beginning of the race, man, you started on pole, and then you just fell back.
Yeah, cold tires. That was kind of embarrassing. So I had to show I had to show what I'm really capable of, and I feel like I've done that. But overall, it was a really good race.
Yeah, and it definitely was a great race for sure. And I mentioned it, and I echoed to you guys earlier before we came back, is that I felt that was probably one of the most entertaining, if not the best, road course race, arguably, that I have called here on the sim. And man, you've been having a stellar run here in the Truck Series so far. These first few races, you came in tonight as the points leader. I believe you'll end up still the points leader after tonight's race. We'll have to see how it is going into Richmond. But, I mean, this has been a strong run for you lately, man. It's been really good for you. I know that the beginning of the race started out really rocky, but the end, you come home with a P2 finish. What more do you need to do to just keep on with that points lead here?
I just need to keep my head on my shoulders. The biggest thing was coming into COTA, because last season I came in as a points leader. I lost a lot of points here last year and missed the next race and lost the points. So I kind of just got to keep my head on my shoulders and just keep doing what I'm doing, keep driving how I know how to drive, and just stop putting myself in these bad predicaments and just keep getting something solid.
Well, man, I'm sure you can keep on getting those solid finishes. And who do you got to thank for this awesome rebound of second place here tonight?
I got to thank Elevated Esports, first off, for all they do as a team. Just keeping me in the game, especially during this race. I got kind of heated there when everything went down with Cody and JP, and just told me to get my head back on my shoulders and chug along, and that's what we did. Gotta thank my mom for letting me do this as much as I do, my dad, my friend Zach for watching. Just gotta thank all of our sponsors, Martin Sports, Nerd Tudes, and Elevated Outdoors, Victory Fuel, and everyone else that is part of this team. You guys for putting this broadcast on, and Brody and Full Throttle Sim Racing for putting this on for all of us and letting us do what we love doing.
Well, there you go. There's Ryan Chapman, the bridesmaid tonight, but still should be the points leader heading out of Austin, Texas tonight. And now we'll head over to Victory Lane, presented by Victory Fuel. Remember, if you go to drinkvictory.com, you could use KOI19 for your coupon code at checkout to save 10% off of your purchase. And Brody Hanna, didn't even think you were going to be a factor there at the end, man, but everybody started really jockeying for position, started getting really exciting. Reminded me a lot of the 2022 Cup finish here for the NASCAR Cup Series. Really interesting race, man. What's your takeaway from tonight?
Yeah, I basically just tried to keep the truck on the track and keep it straight, and just hope that things happen in front of me. That's kind of the way it played out. Didn't have the fastest truck. I think Tony or Michael, both those guys have faster trucks on the team than I did. I just tried to stay out of trouble, keep it pointed straight. When all that stuff happened in front of me, it was just there for the taking. I saw Tyler start getting squirrely, and once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this might be doable." And sure enough, it was there for the taking.
And I know we're still really, early in, obviously, to the season, and then obviously come playoff time, that's where everything really gets ramped up. But how you've been so far this season, compared towards the tail end of last season. I know obviously you had some technical issues on your side, didn't race, for a few races, a few weeks even, maybe even a month, I believe it was. But obviously you tried the best you could there towards the end of the season, and now with the start of this one, you've already picked up 3 wins. You've been having a solid year so far in the Cup Series. I mean, what more do you need to do to obviously keep on digging and try to go win that championship at the end of the year?
Well, I think the one thing I want to work on is little